My guest today is Captain Olivia O Wyatt. She is a sailor, award-winning filmmaker, TV producer, writer, and United States Coast Guard certified captain. Currently, Olivia is living aboard her haunted 34-foot sailboat Juniper that is moored in the Soloman Islands of the Pacific. Akin to street cred, Olivia's sailing cred is beyond impressive. Captain Wyatt, as I like to call her, has over 11,000 nautical miles of Pacific Ocean beneath her boat and has sailed more than 9,000 of those miles solo. Along with her passion for the sea is her calling to meet and bring awareness of endangered Indigenous people through her sailing adventures, storytelling, and filmmaking. Her 2015 feature-length documentary, Sailing the Sinking Sea, is eye and ear candy for the senses. You swim underwater, sail on turquoise seas, learn sea gods' mythology, and watch Moken lovers fall in love. You may have heard of the Mokens. They are the seafaring community in Thailand that, because of their preserved folklore, survived the tsunami of 2004. Today, Olivia has set her sights on the 2026 Golden Globe race. Some of the rules are sailors must sail alone, nonstop, in retrofitted sailboats using 1968 technology. The race starts in France, sails from west to east around the Great Capes. Interestingly, more people have been to space than have rounded the Capes, and she will be the first American woman to do so solo. It is with great pleasure to welcome to the table the smart, pretty, brave, ambitious, creative, award-winning ethnographic filmmaker and sailor, Captain Olivia O Wyatt.
Hello, good afternoon.
If that hasn't whet your appetite for this show, I don't know if there's anything that ever would.
I'm still stuck on the haunted boat part at the beginning. Never mind all the other stuff.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Olivia, you are a total package.
Thank you.
What does your mother and father think about this?
Well, when I wrote to my mom and dad that I was going to cross the ocean, like when I first set sail from San Diego to Hawaii, I gave them a heads up. My mom didn't speak to me for 3 weeks, but now she's on board.
Not literally.
No, figuratively. Yeah.
No pun intended. We're going to talk about your solo trip to Hawaii and the adventure, the hallucinations, the godlike experiences, how it changed you forever, your regrets, your satisfaction that all came from it. And I also want to talk about your preparation and your goal for racing in the 2026 Golden Globe race around the Great Capes. But before we get to your extraordinary life adventures, let's set the table for our listeners. How does a young girl from landlocked Arkansas fall in love with the ocean?
I don't know. I've just always been in love. I mean, we would go vacation on the ocean when I was younger, and my parents couldn't get me out of the sea.
Are you talking about like the Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah, like the Gulf. Yeah, we went to Mexico and Florida, places like that. And then after college, I moved to New York. And about 2 months there, I realized I could live in New York, but on the beach. The end of the A train is Rockaway Beach, New York. So I moved straight away out there. And I commuted an hour to the city each day. And then that's where I learned sailing. Somebody bought me sailing lessons for my birthday out there, and that was it. I was just...
But you went to school for journalism.
I did. I studied photojournalism.
And you worked for?
Magnum Photos, which is a documentary photo agency. It's global, but it's run by the photographers themselves.
Are they in Little Rock? Or are they in Fayetteville?
No, Magnum is based, it's in Paris, New York, Tokyo, and then one other. But I worked for them in New York.
So
this is where you started sailing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you love sailing, or do you love writing, or do you love filmmaking?
I love it all. When I'm sailing, I write every day that I'm at sea, and I think that keeps me really grounded. Because I have this, my mom can send me through satellite like messages that blog readers are writing back, and it feels like I'm not alone.
So you can get satellite out in the ocean?
I can.
Is there anywhere you cannot get satellite?
No, but now with Starlink, you can
Get it
Oh,
anywhere.
you can get
yeah.
everything. But I bought a Starlink and I already sold it because I didn't want to be that connected. And now with this race, I can't have any technology on board. I'll be using celestial navigation to find my way with the sun and stars.
Mhm.
No computers, nothing.
Starlink is the Elon Musk satellite service, right?
Right.
You went and got a USCG certification, sailor certification,
hmm
but you don't have to be part of the Coast Guard to get that certification?
No, it's called a captain's license, and there's different tonnage depending on what kind of boat you want to work on. And I was just getting it to use my boat personally to run charters on. So I got a 50 ton, which is one of the smaller licenses, but that's still pretty. For example, my boat is only, I think, 8 or 9 tons. So
And how long's your boat?
my boat is 34 feet,
So just for perspective, your boat, 34 feet, is how many tons?
about 8 to 9.
And you've got 50 ton.
And I have a 50 ton license. So I could be driving a boat much bigger.
And didn't you for a while have a part-time job where you started being the skipper of delivering boats, racing boats?
I wasn't getting, I've been paid for some deliveries, but the deliveries and racing was more for experience.
Mhm.
And then I did work for an international charter company, which was a job. And that's just a couple of times a year. They'd fly me different places and I'd have clients and take them around for a week on the water in like Thailand or BVI, wherever they'd send me.
So like a captain for hire kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So could you navigate the barge down the Suez Canal?
Well, I was going to take my boat up the Suez because I need to get over to Europe and it's kind of the fastest
Right.
way, but it's not safe to go in the Suez right now. There's a lot of war and tension going
Sociopolitical
on.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
I don't know that it's safe to go anywhere alone as a woman on a sailboat. I mean, I've always heard about pirates in the Caribbean and pirates out at sea. I mean, it is kind of lawless at sea, isn't it?
yeah, it's pretty lawless. I mean, I have been robbed. I got robbed when I was in Fiji, but I wasn't on board. I have a friend that got boarded, and while she was on board, and she got robbed by 9 people. But that was down, I think, in Panama, the Panama area. But I haven't had anything really bad happen, thank God. Yeah.
Do you feel like you just have to be sort of aware of where you're going ahead of time? Like kind of know what the state of affairs is on the water where you're going?
Yeah. And when I'm near land, I'm always buddy boating. So I'll be with other boats just because I am alone and it is safer. If something were to happen, I have people around. But when I'm offshore, it's a gamble. And I have had it where there was a boat sitting right in front of me. I woke up one night and there was a boat just right in front of me, maybe 2 nautical miles. And I thought they were waiting to attack me. But it turns out they were just fishing and they were setting things in the water.
What ocean was that?
That was in the North Pacific. That was on my way to Hawaii. But, I had a knife out. I was ready for action.
Do you have a gun?
No, because I'm kind of anti-guns. I was in a robbery when I was 14 and shot at, and the bullet missed me 3 inches to my right. And ever since then, I refused to carry.
In Little Rock, Arkansas?
That was in Conway.
Well, I'm not sure that, I would even be able to shoot somebody with a gun, even if
No.
I just don't know that it's in my nature to kill somebody. Even if they're about to kill me, I don't know if I could make that split-second decision before they took the gun away from me and shot me with my own gun.
Yeah, I don't think I'd manage it properly either.
Right, yeah. Especially
So-
if you're alone out at sea for a long time. Yeah, just a lot to take care of.
Well, and you're hallucinating out there. Yeah, sure you get a little crazy and you're like, is this reality or is this not reality?
Yeah.
It is like being on a drug.
Yeah.
Like the
Whoa.
longer you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start going, did the sun come up? What day is it? Eventually, you did buy a boat, the Juniper, and you love this boat. And I highly recommend anybody listening to go and look at your boat and take the tour of your boat online. It's on YouTube, and it is charming. So tell us about your 34-foot boat. I can't say the name of the tie.
It's a 34-foot Toshing Panda, and it was built in Taiwan. And my mainsail has a little panda face on it because that's the type of boat that it is. And she's beautiful. She feels like a magical little hobbit hole. She has a lot of wood on her interior and some big round curves. And she did have wooden decks, but I removed them because that's a lot of holes to have in the boat, and it was water was leaking in, so I took those off. But I don't know. She just feels really classic. She sails very well.
And she's
name's
haunted.
Juniper.
Juniper. Yeah, the previous owner died on board, I believe.
That's why it's haunted.
Yeah, if he didn't die on board, he was very close to the end of his life on board, and the boat sat empty for 10 years, and a lot of strange things have happened. And people will come on board that I've just met, and they'll be like, somebody died in here, or somebody's haunting this place, and I know it too. I feel it, but it's fun when other people experience it.
Friendly ghost?
I don't know. I think he likes, he doesn't want me to go into certain areas.
Poltergeist?
Kind of what, whenever I'm working on the engine, things will go wrong, or he'll open and close cabinets, and I don't know. He may kind of causes a little scene.
I love this.
And the clock, I have one clock, and every time I walk by it, it chimes, but it's only supposed to chime 2 times a day, or every hour and every half hour. Sorry, 2 times an hour. But it just does it every time I walk by it. Headlamps go, like the lights will just start flashing and then go off. And
why?
I don't know.
It's haunted, Mom.
Have you seen a pattern of, like you said, you walk by the clock, so it happens. So why do the lights flash on and off? You bring a guy on board, does it don't like it?
No, I know that'll be when I'm alone at sea, but the lights are, or if I'm working on something. So like I have 2 different headlamps. They were bought at 2 different times. I remember we were working on the engine one day, and my friend was wearing one and I the other. And I went to use the bathroom, and he screamed. And I said, well, and this is like he wouldn't normally scream about something. So I was like, is everything okay? And he's like, no, the headlamp is doing something weird. And I said, oh, the battery must be going out. And right as I said that, mine started doing. He goes, see, that's what mine was doing. I don't know. I don't know why. And then sometimes I'll just be reading, and it's like, it looks like it's controlled by poltergeist.
I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories, but.
What is there a best story?
There's one I am not comfortable sharing because y'all might think I'm crazy, but
perfect. That's perfect.
But there is one. A friend's kid was over. All the cabinets on a boat have something called an elbow latch. So it's when you're at sea, they won't just fly open. You have to put your finger in a hole and then pull this little trigger, and it opens the cabinet. Well, my friend's 2-year-old was on board. He doesn't know how to work the cabinets. We would just be talking, and we'd turn around, and he'd be holding one of my tools from my tool cabinet in his hand. And I'd go and I'd put the tool away, and I'd make sure the door was locked. 10 minutes later, he'd have another tool in his hand. And it just kept going on. And finally, I was like, y'all have to get out of here.
Wow. Yeah, that's a poltergeist.
So does it make you feel, what does a poltergeist mean?
A tricky
ghost?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Are they always nefarious? I don't know if this one's
I don't think they're always nefarious.
Okay.
I think they just
What's
mess
nefarious
with,
mean?
Like evil intentioned. Just, they mess with stuff.
Do you think yours is evil intention?
No, but I think it wants to be like the captain of the boat again, and it would like me out of the way. But I will say that he might be gone, because last year when I was in Fiji, a woman came on board and she was like, oh, somebody has died on here. And then she went to the mountains and came back. Like, she was like, I got to go climb the mountain and get this leaf.
Yeah.
She came back 6 hours later with this magical leaf, and she burned it and prayed. It wasn't sage.
Oh.
It's some leaf local to Fiji. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's like Tale. Starts with a T. Anyway, she burned it and sang and prayed, and
it's gone.
She said it was gone now. And I haven't had much activity since.
I believe in that. I had a haunted house for a little while, and I didn't ever believe it, but my young son kept seeing this girl. Somebody came over and told me that they used to see this girl, and this closet always smelled, and he would never let me open this closet, and it always had this smell that would come and go, and it wouldn't be there, and we'd think it was something in the wall. And then finally, when I came back and I moved back in, started moving stuff around in that room, that smell kept coming and going and coming and going. And I went out to the garden, and I brought some sage in, and I put that sage in the closet. It is gone. It has never come back. It was there for 20 years.
Yeah, sage is really powerful. I always have some on board. But this one, I mean, he wasn't moving with sage.
Oh.
I saged every cabinet. I saged everything. I was praying on my own. But this lady, I think, was more powerful than I am.
So your big, beautiful Juniper has a cutter rig with a big keel.
Yes.
And you talk about how it's the size of Texas.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big keel. And that's so, that's really not, that actually the race requires a full keeled boat, the race that I'm doing. So you can't go on the boat with any other keel, but they make all different shapes. And it affects the way that the boat handles, how fast it can go. But the full keel, she tracks really nicely in heavy seas. And it's really, they're very durable blue water boats, meaning good for going offshore.
You said when she sails, she sings.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, because she does, when the wind is blowing through everything, there's all these sounds. And then I hang wind chimes up, these wind chimes that are made in the Pyrenees Mountains. So those are always going. And I put prisms. I have these hatches on the top of the boat. So I put this prism paper on it, and there's rainbows bathing the entire ship and moving around. And
is that why the cabin is always full of rainbows?
yes.
Because you have prism paper on
Yeah, it's
there.
like a contact paper that makes prisms.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It really is eye candy. Her YouTube channel your Instagram are so really fun to watch. This is a great place to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Sea Captain Olivia Wyatt, who is preparing for her 2026 Golden Globe race around the Great Capes, where she sails nonstop, solo, using 1968 technology. I'm talking about a compass, the sun, and the stars. Still to come, stories from her first solo trip from California to Hawaii lasting 23 days, her quest through filmmaking to bring awareness to the endangered Indigenous people of the world, and details of the Golden Globe race and how you can follow along on her 250-day extraordinary trip around the world. We'll be right back.
Buying a flag isn't always easy. Luckily, ArkansasFlagAndBanner.com is here to help. Locally owned and operated for more than 40 years, our friendly and knowledgeable staff will help you find just what you're looking for. From flags, to banners, to decorations and more. Shop online or in-store. Come see us today. ArkansasFlagAndBanner.com. We're the experts.
We're speaking today with Captain Olivia Wyatt, a native of landlocked Little Rock, Arkansas, who has found a love for the sea and may very well be the first American woman to ever sail solo around the world, passing the 3 Great Capes in the 2026 Golden Glove race. Talk about your solo trip before we talk about the race and how people can follow you. And I loved looking at your website and reading about the 2026 race and looking at the, are they called trade winds, or what is that you have?
Oh, that's the map of our route.
And it shows the current. It has arrows of, and I guess it's the current in the ocean.
Or that's that's showing the direction that we're going, I think, because the lines overlap at some point.
Yes, but it's also got all the ocean currents in it. Yeah. And it is, I don't know how you sail through all of that. I mean, you have to cross these currents that cross each other that look extremely scary. And for people not watching this and listening to it, but aren't watching it on YouTube, Olivia, you're not as big as me, and I'm not big. How tall are you?
I think I'm 5.5
feet.
Yeah.
You have a 30. How tall's your mast? 30 feet?
Yeah, the mast, I don't know actually the length. I mean, I have it on my schematics.
How does a 5-foot woman hoist a wet sail up a 30-foot mast?
Oh, it's really easy. We have this thing called winches.
Yeah.
And it's on a track. It's easy.
But you said a lot of it has to be done from the top.
Most of my sail changes, I have to go up to the mast to do it. meaning I can't do it from the cockpit. Only one sail can be controlled from the cockpit.
So you climb the mast.
I don't climb it, but I have to climb out of the cockpit and into the middle of the boat. And when I'm in heavy seas, that's not really something you want to be doing. But I have to go, I have to walk forward because you're safer in the cockpit or the cabin when...
Sure, heavy seas.
Yeah.
And it's always during the heavy seas that you want to change the mast out.
Or that you need to change the sail. Yeah, because... the stronger the wind is, the less sail you want.
Right.
You want to reduce your sail.
Right. Yeah, so you're sleeping at night in your little cubby hole, and all of a sudden a storm blows up, and you're like, oh, I better get that sail down. And it's raining, and it's terrible. The wind's blowing. You have to put a harness on before you go out?
I do. I wear something called a PFD, or personal flotation device, and it's a deflated life jacket. But if I were to fall in the water, there's a little pill that dissolves and it will automatically inflate. And I put that on and I tether myself to the boat
Thank goodness.
to move around.
Whew, I bet that makes your mother sleep better at night.
I don't know about that.
I'm telling you, she's a trip, y'all. She's a trip.
I can't imagine anything more like cozy though than like coming back to your cabin after doing something like that. I just feel like there has got to be this really intense feeling of like gratification, I guess.
Oh, you know it.
She's nodding. Yeah.
Oh, you know it. I don't even know very many men who have who have sailed from California to Hawaii solo.
Yeah. But then I kept going. Yeah. I know, I think more men have done it than women for sure. But
It's very impressive.
have you ever met
either
anybody?
way.
yeah, I've met several people that sail solo. I'm friends with a lot of people out there
that have done that 23-day span from California to Hawaii?
It probably took them a different amount of time. It depends on the boat. But yeah, I have one female friend who's done a lot of crossings like me.
By yourself?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that there was a league of you
cool.
ladies.
But so what's funny is I didn't document that crossing. But after that, I was with two friends on board to French Polynesia. And then the rest has been solo. So coming up on my YouTube is a bunch of my solo sailing stuff.
So how did it come about that you were going to go solo? You didn't originally think that, did you?
No. There's a lot more involved with sailing than just sailing, right? You have to be mechanically and electrically inclined, which I'm not. I mean, there's lots of stuff that can break on board. And I think for me, after I got the boat, I was I was going out in gales or like really strong winds and seeing how she behaved and learning the boat. And then I knew I wanted to cross, but I didn't want to go alone. And I dated several people hoping, that they were going to be the ones to go with me. And I realized I was so desperate to find someone. I had been sacrificing self-love because I was making really poor decisions in that department. And I realized that I needed to go alone to overcome that, to find that self-love that I was missing and that self-reliance and all of that. So it was really kind of a spiritual journey for me. So I was looking for growth.
Have you ever been alone on the ocean at night before that?
No. So sailing I had only sailed solo for 6 hours prior to that journey. And that was just over to Catalina Island. So when I got on the boat and that was my first time alone at night.
What'd you think?
At sea. I mean, I was nervous. I was at a higher point of sail. I was sailing closer to the wind, which can feel more chaotic because the way the swell is hitting you and the wind is screaming at you. And, when I was in my berth, it just was like the waves were hammering me. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. It just felt like a marching band was smashing all their instruments right in my ears kind of thing. It was pretty rough conditions. But I just said, Olivia, if you can make it to the next morning, just see if you can make it to the next morning.
Was that the first night?
Yeah.
So you didn't check the weather before you went out?
I did, but I was leaving in the middle of hurricane season. And so...
Why?
Because it was just the very beginning of it. Actually, it was August, and I have a weather router. I work with Commander's Weather on my weather routing, and it was the optimal time to leave. If I had waited any longer, I would have gotten deeper into the hurricane system.
You could have waited a year. Found another boyfriend.
No, I just had to do it. No, I just had to do it then.
Spiritual journey, Mom.
I was ready. The boat was ready. It was time.
And it's hard probably to get a boat, an older boat like that ready.
I just needed to install something like, put some safety things on it, get a life raft, get an EPIRB, which is this thing that if the ship is going down, you press a button and it sends a signal with your GPS.
I was going to ask, yeah.
Yeah. And then I had to get like a wind vane, or I wanted a wind vane. Most people that sail solo, single-handed, it's like an autopilot, but it doesn't use anything electrical. It's just using the wind and waves to steer the boat. And it's very reliable, very dependable, and you can sleep easily, because the trades are consistent. So as long as the wind is blowing from the same direction, your boat will stay on course with those.
So you didn't worry about pirates? We already talked about pirates.
No, I was worried about that one boat, but it was just a fishing boat.
And when you got to Hawaii, you picked up some mermaids. You call them mermen.
Mermen. Yeah, they're mermen. They can swim so deep underwater. They can free dive. Yeah, they're really good free divers.
And so you put them on your little boat with you to go around?
We just sailed around the Hawaiian Islands, and it was COVID. It was the beginning of COVID. And then I was like, do y'all want to go to French Polynesia? Because French Polynesia had just opened up. They were allowing people back in. And so the guys were like, yeah, let's go.
How old are these guys?
They're a little bit younger than me, maybe like 5 years younger.
Where do they sleep on that tiny boat of yours?
So I have, I sleep in the quarter berth, and then one of them slept on the starboard side settee and the other one on the port side settee.
Is that settee? Is that outside or inside?
No, it's inside.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's like kind of looks like the couch.
Oh, yeah.
A settee, like you have in your living room.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But there's one on either side. So there's one next to the table and then one.
And you trusted getting on a boat with these guys?
Yeah, we had a lot of mutual friends. It was just, we had a lot of mutual friends in Oahu. And one of them was dating a good girlfriend of mine. And so.
You're a small community of people, aren't you?
On the water people, yeah.
Because, you're in different islands and different places, but you have people date somebody from the mainland, and it seems like y'all all kind of know each other.
Yeah.
So what are you famous for among all the mermen out there? They're all like, oh, that Olivia chick, she sold the thing.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what people think about me.
They giving you a spirit god name or something?
No.
Cool. And then you left the mermen and went on by yourself to Fiji.
And then from Fiji to Vanuatu to the Solomons. But I spent about a year in each place.
Oh, so this is a 4-year trip.
So, yeah.
So you still have your boat down the Soloman Islands?
Yes. I just sailed there in September, but I will be leaving there in April. I need to get further west pretty fast. So I'm going to be going through Papua New Guinea and Indonesia. And then by next November, I'll be crossing.
What?
I'll be heading towards Africa.
Which Great Cape are you passing then?
That is
it New Hope?
I think it's Cape of Good Hope. Sorry.
Good Hope.
I get the capes confused sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, me
South
too.
Africa is Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you were saying are you working as a journalist, kind of like through all of this, taking pictures, writing, stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been writing and taking, making little films as I go, but also I work for companies. So I'm a freelance filmmaker, and I did a big project for Google last year, one for National Geographic the year before. It just depends who comes my way, but I have been working probably half a year as I go.
How do you get a gig like that?
They come to me.
They do. They've been watching your stuff and they come to you.
Or I'm recommended, or, for example, I made 3 feature films, and making those got me noticed by a company called Vice. And then Vice hired me to make or produce a TV show for them that was in the same realm as my films. And then from there, I did a show for Melissa McCarthy the year that I sailed to Hawaii that was on NBC. But she had seen the Vice show.
What'd you do?
I was the field producer for the show. It's about kids that do amazing things. Oh,
I saw the
Little
promo
Big
for this.
Shots.
Big
Shots.
Oh,
Sorry,
good.
I keep forgetting the name.
All right. Let's talk about what happens to a person when you're alone on the sea.
Okay.
Did you think, oh my God, I've gone crazy. Why did I do this? And how many times did you think that?
No, I didn't think I'd gone crazy. I mean, you never know what something's going to be like until you're out there. I mean, I had been at sea before, but with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, every time I step foot on that boat or move that boat, I am facing a fear. I mean, it's not like, it doesn't feel like getting on a bike, and just going somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, for me, it's a lot. It's a lot, especially when you're sailing near land, because there's things to run into and a lot of things that could go wrong.
Sailing near land is
scarier. It's scarier because especially the parts of the world that I'm in now, they're not charted properly. You can't trust the maps. You have to be using satellites and yeah.
And you got that big keel that can just drag on anything.
Yeah, I've hit reef before.
What do you do when you do that? Back up? Can you back up? Does it have a motor on it?
My boat has an inboard engine, yeah, but I had to get 5 dinghies alongside me, and we took a line from the top of the mast and pulled the boat on its side to get it to slide free.
Basically drag it off.
Yeah.
And then you got repairs.
Yeah, but that wasn't that big. The repairs on that weren't that bad.
So talk about the loneliness out there. It's got to be weird to not talk to anybody for that long.
Yeah, I miss human voices, but with the satellite, like especially on my first trip, I made, I think, 2 or 3 phone calls. One was because my engine stopped working and I worked on it for 3 days and couldn't get it to go. And then I had to call someone like, should I keep going? Should I turn around? And they said, just keep going, but turn all your systems off. So I had to turn all my electronics, my fridge, everything. Once a day, I would turn them on and make sure I was on, going the right way.
Uh-huh.
But that's because I only had 200 watts of solar and there wasn't a lot of sun that time of year out there. And without the engine, I needed the alternator to charge my batteries and I didn't have it. I didn't have enough battery power.
So this new race that you're going to do in 2026, are they going to let you do solar power?
Well, I can have solar in the race. And I'm going to have more solar for the race, yeah.
And then will you ever get to turn your engine on? Because you did have engines in 1968.
Yeah, but you can. So I'll be at sea for 250 days, maybe more. And I can only use what's on board with me, right? So my tank holds 90 gallons of diesel.
You don't ever get to stop anywhere and refuel?
No, you don't get to stop and get more provisions. That means all the food that's on board with me, that's what I've got.
250 days worth of food.
Yes, or I can catch things, or like water, I'm going to need to collect rain. I'm going to really be with nature.
My husband said, that's not true. She's got to stop. I said, that's what the rules say.
Yeah,
he said,
nonstop.
No. All right, talk about the euphoria and the hallucinations. If you don't talk to anybody for that many days, you better be prepared for your 250 days when you're out there not talking to anybody, because you're going to be going crazy.
Well, I have an SSB radio that I'll be able to talk to other racers that are within reach, that are in range.
What kind of a radio?
It's a single sideband.
Okay.
Or HF, like high frequency radio. Yeah. And so I can talk to other people out there, or, maybe I could catch a ship or.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I'll be speaking to the race committee once a week out there. They do a podcast while we're out at sea.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then, but I don't know. I think I will go through waves of loneliness and everything. For sure. I always do.
So you said you left Hawaii. You left California to do a solo trip to Hawaii because you needed to find love and self-care. Did you find it?
Yeah. Of course.
What form did it come in?
Well, that's it's an internal thing, but it's revealed to me in the choices that I'm making in my life. They're healthier, when it comes to partnerships and things like this. I see a difference.
Did you believe more in God or less in God after when you got back?
Oh, I've always loved God, but I have no doubt, I think my love has grown.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really amazing, the things that have happened out there. Like, I do make deals with God sometimes. Like, one time I was in a very strong, low pressure system, meaning heavy winds and seas, high seas. And I needed to go up to the mast, like we were talking about. I needed to go change the sail, but I didn't really want to leave the cockpit. And I said, God, will you please drop the wind down to 30 knots, which felt more manageable for me to leave the cockpit. And right as I said it, the wind dropped, but then it went back up. And I said, no, you got to get it to drop long enough for me to go up there and change it. It dropped again. I went up and changed it and went right back when I came back to the cockpit.
Oh, love that.
And the deal was with God, if you do this for me, then, I'll write about it. So I, of course, wrote a big blog about it. But yeah, I'm completely guided when I'm out there, and I have no doubt of God's existence.
So are there like sea gods?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. There's tons of creatures in the sea that I don't know about too. But they surround me.
Uh-huh.
But you want to know one of my weird hallucinations?
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Okay. One time, because I think I miss human voices, I have a lot of auditory hallucinations. For example, I'll be doing something and I'm just wishing somebody would come help me, and I'd hear, "Don't you need my help?" coming out of the water, and it's a male voice, and I think it's a merman. I'm like, yes, and then nothing is there when I look around. Or one time I went into the V-berth. That's the forward part of the ship, where when I'm not underway, I sleep. It has the big area for sleeping. And I stow stuff there when I'm offshore. And I went up there to get something, and I heard this funk singer go, "Clap your hands, hell yeah." And then 1,000 hands started clapping, and I could hear all of them, so many hands. And I'm just in the V-berth clapping along with them and dancing. And then there's like kind of this witch sounding voice that comes out of the sink, that gurgles out of the sink. And she's like,
this is so wild. I mean, I guess your brain starts kind of filling in spaces for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you just roll with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was clapping along.
Obviously. Yeah.
Well, isn't that the sound of the siren that the seamen talk about all the time?
The mermen. Yeah. In your case.
Yeah, I think in my case, I'm hearing I hear that one female witchy voice, but it's mostly male voices,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the men hear women.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they, it's like an eerie.
Well, you were just talking about how you kind of use these experiences to sort of like process like previous relationships that you've had and stuff. I imagine there's like your brain is probably doing a lot of unpacking.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. And there'll be days where I'm just dancing and others where I'm crying. I mean, I never know what emotion is going to surface. But
being a lover of film and writing, I'm sure you knew you would chronicle your travels, maybe about humpback whales, because I know you like humpback whales.
I do, but you know what? That whole thing got thwarted because of COVID. So I set out. I found all these Indigenous communities that communicate with the humpback whales. And I was really interested to learn what is the meaning in that song, in the humpback whale song, because when humpbacks are in their breeding grounds, they are singing. And a lot of times they always go back to breed where they were born, but they go and feed in different places. So you have, maybe whales going to Hawaii, like they're all going back to different places to feed. And the song is changing ever so slightly, but in most pods, or most areas where they are breeding, the song is the same, right? And it also can travel really far. And I thought there must be some messages in this, and I wanted to explore that.
Yeah.
But because of COVID, that all went out the window.
So you end up with your emphasis being on documenting Indigenous people that are really on the brink of extinction.
Well, yeah, all of my documentary films have been about Indigenous communities. And for this race, we now are seeing with the rising sea levels, a lot of communities are being affected. I mean, already there are people coming, Soloman Islands, there are certain islands that are sinking. There are people coming from other neighboring islands and moving to the Solomons because they've already lost their islands. So I really want to raise awareness about what's happening with climate change to these communities.
And they're not really sinking. It's that the water's rising.
The water's rising, yeah.
Which makes the island smaller.
Mm-hmm. So
So
it makes them sink?
or
It
makes
does,
them
yeah.
sink. I thought that was a clever way of because your movie is called Sailing the Sinking Sea when it's really,
Rising.
Well,
I thought that was a good play on words.
that's because the Moken, that movie is about a nomadic seafaring tribe called the Moken, and their name literally means sinking in water. And their ancestors told them that was kind of like the curse of who they are. And that's why they've learned to live so, they have this beautiful symbiotic relationship with water.
Cool.
I watched this documentary, and just for our listeners, it's about an hour long, costs $5. You have to dig to find it. It's really hard to find, but it was fun to lay in bed and watch it on my laptop. And it's all subtitled because they're speaking Moken the whole time, and they smoke cigarettes. The 6-year-olds smoke cigarettes. It was a trip.
Yeah.
But I was fascinated by how simple and easy their life was, and they seemed happy. Although I must say, some of the women did look kind of like bored to death.
Yeah, but I think too, because nowadays, before they used to all be nomadic and then only going to the huts, the huts you see on stilts during monsoon season. But now, because there's been all these shifts, like societal shifts for them, that they're mostly on land. There's only a couple nomadic families that I found. And a lot of times the men are being sent to other places to do fishing. And so I think maybe if I was a woman in that community, I would be. My husband is leaving for long periods of time.
Yeah. And she used to go with them.
Yeah. They used to be together making life work on the ocean,
I loved it when they'd get the whole family out on a boat and they'd be smoking. And then it looked like they made their homemade corn mash or something, because they had like old beer bottles that looked like maybe they had made some sour mash whiskey or something,
Fun.
And I just thought that's good. Although the reason I say corn mash sour is because their teeth were rotted, a lot of them. And that corn is so sweet.
That's from betel nut.
From betel nut?
Yeah, chewing betel nut. That really messes up your teeth.
What's
but it's
betel nut?
Betel nut is the part of it's a type of, I think, from a palm tree. And it's very popular all across Asia. The Soloman Islands is really big, parts of Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea, I think even Indonesia. But you mix it, you chew it with lime, like limestone, actual limestone.
Whoa.
And that's been grounded up to a powder. And or sometimes coral reef, they'll like go and pick the coral and they burn it and grind it down.
Sweet? Is it dessert?
No, it's not sweet, but it gives you like a euphoric kind of high.
Oh,
It makes you real talkative, social, kind of like any upper kind of.
I was going to say, like drinking a cup of coffee or smoking a cigarette or something. Okay.
But it's very prominent. Like on the streets of the Solomons, you can just go. People have little tents set up, and you can go and like buy one little thing of betel nut, and there's a leaf you chew with it too. It's a whole ritual.
So what do they die from over there? The food is so clean that they eat. It's probably not cancer.
In the Moken? Well, so that was what's cool about their community, is that before they didn't have a need for money, right? Even up in like 10 years ago, they were trading for everything. They had all survived the Indian Ocean tsunami. They had a completely oral tradition. They're very removed from modern society. And but then, so I guess that's more than 10 years ago now. It's like, but then.
No, it's right at 10.
No, I think
tsunami was 2004.
Oh, that's 20 years.
Oh my gosh, it has. It is. You're right.
Because I went and filmed 10 years after, but now we're,
Gotcha.
So now their way of life is shifting, and they have TVs, and kids are seeing what modern life is like, and they're not so interested in their way of life. And
yeah, I saw they had magazines posted up on the walls of, movie stars and stuff.
Yeah. And also, so the men, when they're going and working elsewhere, if you're away from your partner, they're meeting their needs with other women. And I think diseases are being carrying back and killing them. And they're being paid to do dynamite fishing, which is illegal, but still being done in Burma or Myanmar. And that's killing some of the men. Sometimes they're being pushed beyond their limits, but, they're being paid to do it. So
And they need money now.
So now they need money, whereas before all this, they didn't.
Yeah, because the ocean used to provide for them, and it really doesn't. They don't have crabs and stuff like they used to.
Yeah, that's what they talk about, how everything's shifting. That's because there's been some coral bleachings. And what they're witnessing in their water, they're saying, we're not taking care of this earth. You know, our ancestors told us it's going to be a living ghost unless we care for our earth. And it's not them that's not caring for it, but everybody around them is not, right? Yeah. So the ecosystem is totally messed up.
So about this movie you made, Carson Ludd of Slant Magazine wrote, Sailing a Sinking Sea weaves a visual and aural tapestry of Moken mythologies and present-day practices. As a viewer, you will swim under the sea, past fishes and mermaids, sailboats across turquoise waters, land on 13 different islands, step inside sea shanties on stilts, delve into the minds of shamans, become possessed through the worship of sea gods, dance between lovers, and emerge drenched in Moken mythology. And I think all of that is very true. Then you did Floating on Fire, and then you did Salt.
Wait, no, those aren't features, though. The other features, Staring into the Sun.
Okay.
And that was in Ethiopia. So I went to... That's interesting. I went to 13 different communities in Ethiopia, and I did 13 islands. Okay.
It's a number for you.
Yeah, that's my number. And then my other feature length is called The Pierced Heart and the Machete. Oh. And that is in Haiti. And it looks at 2 religious pilgrimages for a male and female spirit that are married in the voodoo pantheon. And for people don't know, but Haiti had the first successful slave revolt of anywhere on earth. And they evoked these 2 gods, these 2 spirits, and they gave them the power to win and get out of slavery. So these pilgrimages are really powerful and still very prominent today. And
so your works are called Abstract Works of Psychedelic Nature. What does that mean?
No, that's so...
What?
These works are ethnographics. The ones that we've been speaking out, those are ethnographic. They're anthropological in nature. I am trying to open hearts to other communities. I'm trying to show you that beneath everything, we are all the same, right? Like I want you to fall in love with somebody that's coming from another place much different from yours, right? And that's my goal with these films. But then I do abstract works of a psychedelic nature, which are they're abstract. Like I said, they're more dreamy, just color visual scapes.
I felt like there was a lot of that in the film that I watched even.
Yeah, I think
you wove the 2 together, I felt like really well. And so just for people to know, what's the difference between documentary and ethnographic filmmaker?
I am a documentary filmmaker, but within documentary films, what am I doing? I'm making ethnographic films, which is they're anthropological, meaning I'm specifically looking at indigenous communities through my work. But it could be, I could look at any community. It doesn't have to be indigenous, but my work is looking at indigenous.
Yeah, so I looked it up. It says ethnographic is a qualitative method for collecting data often used in the social and behavioral sciences. Data is collected through observation and interviews about, you said?
People. Communities.
All right. It's a great place to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Captain Olivia Wyatt, who is preparing to be the first American woman to sail nonstop solo around the world in the 2026 Golden Globe race. As if manning a sailboat is not enough, she must also do it using 1968 technology. No GPS, just a compass, the sun, and the stars. Still to come, details of the Golden Globe race and how you can follow along on her 250-day extraordinary trip around the 3 Great Capes: Asia, Africa, Australia. Did I get them right?
No.
Dadgummit. What is it?
Africa, Australia, South America.
South America.
There you go.
There you go. We'll be right back.
Do you have something to say? Say it in flying colors. I'm Kerry McCoy, owner of flagandbanner.com, where flags tell stories and banners get attention. Whether it's for your business, organization, or special event, custom flags and banners will make your message soar. Visit flagandbanner.com for high quality, quick turnaround. We're not just any flag company, we're the experts that answer the phone.
We're speaking today with Smart, pretty, brave, ambitious, creative, award-winning ethnographic filmmaker and sailor, Captain Olivia Wyatt, who is preparing and raising money for her 2026 Golden Globe race entry fees and boat repairs. As you can imagine, her 1986 sailboat, Juniper, must be in tip-top condition to start such a journey. So if you're just tuning in, we have talked about Olivia's solo trip from California to Hawaii, her hallucinations, her godlike experiences, and why she believes in a higher power. We've also talked about the Indigenous people that she met and her filmmaking, and we talked about her YouTube channel and how you should go there and visit it. But now we're going to talk about her 2026 Golden Globe race. It is a retro sailboat race, and we're going to find out what she needs, how you can follow along and keep up with her, and what she's got to do to get ready. This is pretty fascinating. She'll be the first American woman to solo if she does it. So how many times has this race happened, Ben?
No, I'll be the first American woman to do this race. There is a woman who is the first right now. She's out there, and she'll be the first American woman to sail solo nonstop around the world. I'll be the first American woman that's been invited to the Golden Globe, and I'll be the first American woman to do that without modern technology.
Oh, let's clarify that.
I just don't want to.
So is she the first?
Yeah, and I didn't even know that American woman hadn't done it until she got prepared. She's in a different type of race right now on a much faster boat.
So she's beating you to the punchline.
No, she's doing it a different way. They have Starlink. I mean, they have access to everything. I mean, I'm going out there and removing myself, from modern technology. So it's a much different experience that I'll be having.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What made you decide to challenge yourself like that? Was there something in your upbringing?
I am the type of person that I really need something that I can pour myself into. Like, I love big things that I can sink myself into, whether it's the films or whatnot. And I was at a point, I'll tell y'all, my father passed away about 6 months ago, and it kind of makes you look at life a bit differently. And I love cruising, but I needed something more. And I was in Vanuatu at the time, and I had just been thinking, what's next for me? I was going to maybe go back to school for screenwriting, or I was thinking about getting my pilot's license. I mean, I was going to keep the boat, but I wanted something big. I wanted to learn. I was thirsty to learn new things. Well, I found out about the race. I found out because a woman from South Africa won last year. And then somebody said, well, tell me more about the race. Just another cruiser and I were talking about it. And I looked it up and I found out that my boat was perfect for it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, what are the rules? And then I found out that you couldn't have modern technology. And then I started to really get like electric inside by the idea, it felt like electrical inside of me because, wow, that's going to feed me in all these ways that I was looking to be fed, right? So by the next day, I was texting people and trying to get in touch with racers from the previous race. I scheduled a call with 2 of those racers, one of them being the woman who won. Talked to them each for about an hour, and I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. Then I spoke to the race committee, and he was like, you are made to do this. Like I've looked you up, like you are the type of person that can do this. And I said, well, I don't know if I have enough experience. He said, Olivia, you're already doing this. Yeah. What's the difference? And so that gave me some assurance. And then I still wasn't sure, but then I dreamt that I was in the race for many, many nights straight. Mm-hmm. And my dreams are my messages from God. The dream was showing me that it was a very uplifting thing to do for my life, that everything just felt elevating. I can't really describe it. I just would see myself on the water, and I was told that I was in the race, and it was easier than I imagined it would be. I guess he was showing me that he was with me if that was a decision I decided to make, Mm-hmm. But I just kept dreaming and dreaming, and it was like a bad song stuck in my head, and
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't shut up till I sang along. So now I'm singing along. This idea of the race, right?
I don't know if I believe in reincarnation. I don't know if I don't believe in reincarnation. But if I were to believe in reincarnation, you would be a good argument for somebody who brings back ancient wisdom about the ocean to current day.
Cool. I like that. I believe in reincarnation. I worked on a show for Lifetime called Ghost Inside My Child, by the way.
Oh.
And it was kids that remembered their past lives.
Oh.
That's so trippy.
So now you believe in it.
I had been on a boat, and a guy that was on board gave me a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, and it was about reincarnation. 2 weeks later, I get off the boat and I have a phone call. I don't know how Lifetime found me. They said, we want to see if you're interested in the show. I go into the meeting and they're like telling me about the show. And I said, it sounds just like this book. The show was based on the book. That's how connected my life is.
Love that stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
You just got to be open.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think more people are connected to stuff like that?
Yes.
Or do you think some people are just more prone to see it? Or do you think some people are just actually more connected to stuff like that?
Wouldn't you be like, that's too coincidental? Like, how did some random stranger on a boat give me this book that I'm now being asked to produce a TV show
I think
about?
some people might have just said, that's a coincidence.
Well, yeah, one begets another. I think you have to be open to it. Yeah.
That's a
I
pretty
agree.
big a coincidence.
I
Right.
agree completely.
I
I agree
yeah.
completely. So we're back to she's got ancient wisdom and she's got connectivity. And does everybody have that, or just some people have it more than others? I don't know. Something nobody will know. All right, the Golden Globe remains. So they do the Golden Globe race every year?
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years, because you got to prepare. And so here's what I read about it on their website. The Golden Globe race remains totally unique in the world of sailing and stands alone. It is known to be the longest, loneliest, slowest, most daring challenge for an individual in any sport.
They say it's like climbing Everest without an oxygen tank
Whoa.
because we don't have the technology with
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, I have to do a lot of training to prepare for this race. And I wanted to be a better sailor. I wanted to learn more, and this is going to do it for me. I've already just completed 3 classes 2 weeks ago. One is kind of like, it's called medical care person in charge. It's basically like a paramedic.
Mhm.
You know, I had to learn about putting catheters in people and what drugs you give
Emergency
people.
medical
Yes.
stuff.
Why do you have to put a catheter in somebody?
Well, it's because I will probably be the closest person to another racer. I might be
Oh.
the person that's
Saves another racer's life.
can easily get. I thought about it and I was like, that's got to be the reason why.
Yeah, because only the people you'd be interacting with besides yourself or your other racers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also it's good to know for myself, you know, if something
Absolutely.
happens, what should I? Yeah, I learned about all different types of
So they give you a
drugs and-
list of stuff you have to do?
Yes.
And they
So-
have a list of courses you have to take?
Yes. So I had to do that. I had to do a safety at sea course, which is I learned like I put on the cold water immersion suits and jumped in pools with them to see how those feel, and learned how to flip a life raft over and crawl in a life raft.
Could you be a Navy SEAL?
No. That sounds fun though.
Oh, Christ.
That's what I was
Maybe
going to
to
say.
you.
That's what I was going to say. No, go ahead.
And then I'm doing my celestial navigation, which that's not a required course, but I
That is so cool.
I have to do that. So, and what's cool is this company it's the only privately run maritime school in the United States, and it's called Northeast Maritime Institute. And the guy that owns it, there's a couple that owns it, and he went to ASU
Oh, weird.
and on a football scholarship, and he's
What state is this in?
it's in Massachusetts.
It's on the East Coast.
Yes.
He's from
But he's
Wait,
from
no.
there
yeah.
and went to
just came to ASU.
yeah, for football.
Wow. Oh, sure.
And anyway, I was like, no way. What are the odds?
Yeah.
Right. And they've been really supportive and helping getting me, making sure I know everything. And there's a lot of people that teach there that are big wigs in the Navy. And not a one of them looked at me and said, what are you doing? They were all very excited
Really?
and believed in me. And that gave me some more confidence, you know?
Absolutely.
How much money is it going to cost for you?
I need to raise about $300,000 and I'm a 10th of the way there.
So you've got $30,000
Yeah.
and you've got to raise $300,000.
I have to raise $300,000, but I can have a title sponsor. So for example, one year DHL sponsored somebody and they painted the boat in the DHL colors and they named the boat DHL Starlight. So that's like title sponsorship. That would be somebody who wanted to give the full shebang.
Yeah.
But the return on investment on this race is quite big. Plus, I'm documenting it with a Netflix filmmaker who documented all the SpaceX launches. So we're turning it's going to be good exposure for somebody to come on board. And my goal is to have a big Arkansas company. I would love that because I'm from here, right? I think that would be amazing. So I've been reaching out to people. We'll see. But I can also put stickers on the boat. So people wanted to donate smaller amounts.
So let's think of it from a business point of view. Somebody from Arkansas. So to me, if I was looking for sponsors, I would go to a sailboat company. Who built your sailboat?
No, you don't. No, they wouldn't. This type of people that sponsor Rolex, like I said, DHL. These people aren't related to anything. I mean, you're Red Bull.
I'm thinking like sports car sponsorship kind of thought. Thinking.
You have to look at people who are heavily sponsoring stuff, but it could be anybody, right?
It could be Dillers.
It could be Dillers. It could be Walmart. It could be Tyson. It could be anybody.
You know, Walmart has a son who's really big into bicycling and into sports and stuff, so he might be a good.
Yeah. The Walton Foundation does have my information on file. The Clinton Foundation, I just sent off to. I mean, I'm just hitting up everyone that I think might be in alignment with it, might find this interesting.
So do you make a living off of your filmmaking?
I do. Right? Like I told you, like National Geographic, Google, these different people hire me to do stuff. So my income comes from creating, like people will come to me and say, we want to tell a story about this. Help us create, let's do some storytelling around this. So I'll come up with like a 10 video series or 20 video series or 5 video series.
How did they get your name originally?
Through my filmmaking, right? And then it's word of mouth. So somebody saw my film and then they said, hey, check this girl out. And then one company hires me to do something and then another company sees that. And another, like I said, Melissa McCarthy, she just happened to see the show I did for Vice and loved it. And she saw all the episodes and she noted, because I wasn't the only producer, but every show she liked, I had produced. Mm-hmm. So she said, find that producer.
What was the name of that show?
It's called Balls Deep. I didn't name it, but it means like we get balls deep with the communities. Listen,
yeah.
I've worked on Little Big Shots, Balls Deep, Ghost Inside My Child. Those are all the network
repertoire.
shows.
Yeah,
I didn't name any of them though.
Well, I've got to go watch Balls Deep.
Yeah, right. Just because of the title.
Well, that one was like we lived with Native Alaskans and went subsistence hunting, and we lived with the Muslim community. And again, it's that idea of like we're going to show you somebody just living their life, so you can see how similar they actually are to you.
And you get deep into their way of life.
Yeah,
gotcha.
What'd you call it?
Ethnographic.
Ethnographic. So I watched a documentary, or not a document, excerpt from 60 Minutes years ago on these people the Mokens who went to the higher lands because they knew about the Tasami coming because of folklore.
Yeah.
Did they learn about that through your film?
No, because I went back 10 years after the tsunami. So I probably learned about it through somebody else that had done it in the media. And the way that my film is different is that it's just being told through the voices of the Moken themselves and is a bit more poetic. I don't interject myself or show their faces.
You don't. All right. Let's tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
wildernessofwaves.com is my website. And then Wilderness of Waves is also my Instagram and my YouTube. And there's contact info on all of there.
There is so much stuff, and people can follow you along, give to you right now, help you reach your goals. Safety, you said there's going to be safety because you'll be able to have a one-way radio to call out, see if you can find anybody there. Talk about how you think this trip will bring awareness to endangered indigenous people.
So I was speaking about the Northeast Maritime Institute. They have an online global think tank, which is approaching, they're looking at issues on the water, and they're teaming up with scientists, and they're finding solutions. So for example, they teamed up with some guys that were upset about, fishing, the fishing nets, the ghost nets.
Yes.
And they're coming up with lineless fishing methods.
What?
Yeah. And so for me, when I went to them, what we're going to do is probably do some storytelling around Indigenous communities. We'll do a big global map and have different people upload from all over the earth and kind of show how big this problem is and highlight all the areas.
But you won't be stopping there.
I won't be stopping, but I'm going to help create this community. And then I want to start with the Marshallese because I'm from Arkansas and we have the largest population of Marshallese immigrants here in Northwest Arkansas.
What?
Yes. And they came here originally for the Tyson Chicken Factory. And then what happened is they have sea levels rising there. And so a lot of people are coming here now because they already have relatives here and they need to get away from
And where
home.
did you say this is?
Northwest Arkansas.
But no,
The Marshall
the
Islands.
the
okay.
Marshall Islands.
They originally started coming here because of nuclear testing, right?
Well, that's one of the reasons, but I think Tyson sponsored a lot of people to come over.
That was my understanding. I used to live in Northwest Arkansas.
Okay.
My understanding was that a lot of them came, and let's not, this is just what I remember, but they came because of the nuclear testing, and Tyson sponsored their relocation and let them work in the chicken factories, right?
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
that sounds right. And a lot of people also, a lot of Marshallese also ended up in Hawaii, but we have the larger population.
Yeah. We have now this is kind of gossip in Northwest Arkansas, but like my understanding is that there are more Marshallese descendants in Arkansas than there are still on the Marshall Islands.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
And so I want to do some storytelling, and this is all still in the works, right? But I want to do some storytelling elements starting with the Marshallese who have recently come over due to rising sea levels. And then we're going to build this map out on the website because the Northeast Maritime Institute hosts it, but it's a bigger think tank that's part of theirs, right? And from there, I want to make it to where other people can upload from all over the world.
Oh, I get you.
So I want to start local and then show how this is working on a global scale.
And let other documentarians or ethnographics people put their stories attached to your map that you're going to be going around. That's really cool.
And I want to make it to where anybody could upload, right? For example, in the Soloman Islands where I am right now, there are people dealing with us on a daily basis. Like people are having to relocate. Right. Or some people are coming and they're taking rocks off the reef and building new islands to build houses on because they've lost their homes. So I want to make it very easy for somebody to upload regardless of where you are. Mm-hmm. Right. It's going to be a very easy format, and then it'll automatically go to certain points on the map where they are.
Mm-hmm. And I read somewhere that that Netflix is going to put the man that is going to put maybe it's not Netflix, but the gentleman that you're working with is going to put cameras all over your boat.
Yes, and he is not with Netflix, but he has had all of his stuff released on Netflix.
Oh, I see.
And he figured out how to rig cameras for extreme conditions, meaning like he was filming SpaceX launches. And now he just rigged a rower who's going from the North Pacific to the South Pacific. And he contacted me, we have a mutual friend, and he was like, I want to rig your boat. We put 15 cameras all over that can be turned on with the click of a button. It's really hard for me to film myself when stuff is hitting the fan. So this is just going to make it very easy, and I can get it.
Exciting.
Yeah.
All right. This is our last break. We're coming right back. I'm going to tell you how you can get in touch with Olivia and stay with her. She is a sailor, Captain Olivia Wyatt. She is honing her skills and trying to save money and make preparations for her 2026 Golden Globe race around the world, at which time she sails nonstop solo using 1968 technology to bring awareness to our sinking seas and give encouragement to young women and sailors of all gender. We'll be right back to give you all the information about how you can follow her and to remind you of where you can give. We're speaking today with the beautiful and daring Olivia Wyatt, who was born in landlocked Little Rock, Arkansas, but has fallen in love with the sea and sailing. She has sailed solo for 23 days from California to Hawaii and has made 3 feature-length films about the places she has been and the indigenous people she's met. I highly recommend Captain Olivia's YouTube channel, Wilderness of Waves?
Wilderness of Waves.
Wilderness of Waves, or her Instagram for your viewing pleasure. They're all called Wilderness of Waves. It's beautiful. She's got a rainbow, what is that, a kaleidoscope on the roof of your boat. So she has these rainbow patterns all around. I highly recommend you go and look at her YouTube channel. It's visually charming and fun. And she takes you on a tour of her boat, which is really interesting. You said, Olivia, I'm racing to raise awareness about indigenous communities whose homes are in jeopardy due to rising sea levels. I love the sea because she keeps me wide-eyed, honeycombed, and wild. And I'm excited to be a part of the 2026 Golden Globe race. What does honeycombed mean? I Googled it. We're like full of holes. I don't know what it means.
No, I don't know. That's just my creative writing style. Honeycomb, like
Porous.
You know, honeycomb is real sweet. You want to lick it and.
Oh, there you go. You are definitely sweet. It's really actually odd how petite and cute and charming and what a badass you are all at the same time. It's really an oxymoron looking at you.
You're a walking paradox.
You are. And that's what I think.
Well, I think you take, it's like the sailor type, where you're imagining somebody who's going to take a year around the ocean to do, but it's incredible.
Well, I think that's one thing I always try to show, like my weaknesses or my vulnerability to show that anybody can do this, right? I mean, if I can do this, you can do it. That's the big thing I say. It's
very encouraging. It really encouraged me to watch what all you've done with your little young petite self doing all these brave things. I thought, come on, get up off the couch. Do something.
I just want people to go chase after their dreams. I mean, you can make any dream a reality. I believe it.
You are. So let's tell our listeners, you can follow Olivia again, find more information at the links at wildernessofwaves.com, wildernessofwaves.com, Golden Globe 2026, her Instagram, Wilderness of Waves, on the Golden Globe 2026. Is that where they donate and give money?
Through Wilderness of Waves, I have it set up for PayPal or Venmo, or if somebody wants to come on in a bigger way, wants to put stickers on the boat, then just reach out to me directly, and we can iron it.
So would you change Juniper's name?
I would, for a sponsor.
You would. and then when it was over, you put her back her name. Who named her Juniper?
I did.
What was her original name?
Her original name was Lorac, which is Carol backwards, Lorac, and it literally was Carol backwards.
That was the point?
Yes.
Wow.
Was that her boyfriend?
That was the ghost wife.
Wife.
Yeah, it was Carol.
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
What is it with people naming their children backwards? Okay, I've just got to tell this really off the subject. I have a girlfriend named Delora, Dlorah. It is her father's name, Harold, backwards.
Isn't that just hilarious?
I like that.
And her mother's name was Neil, and so they named her Lynn and spelled it Neil backwards.
Yeah.
So she's her mother and her father's name backwards. And so my father always called her Backward Harold all of her life.
Backward Harold.
I'm glad you changed your boat's name.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so we want to give you something from Arkansas. We have you a 12 by 18-inch boat flag for your boat.
Yay.
It's a U.S. flag. I don't know if you want to fly that some of the places you go, and an Arkansas flag.
Yay.
So that's your Arkansas boat flag. And
Yay.
And they are boat ready.
Awesome. I'm so excited. Yes, I am an American flag vessel for this race. So I'll be flying the American flag, and hopefully they'll let me put the Arkansas state flag on it.
That'd be fun.
If not, you can do it later.
Yeah.
Juniper's not going anywhere.
No.
I've really enjoyed meeting with you and talking with you so much. You are such an inspiration.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Good luck to you in all that you're about to do. It's so exciting. We're going to all follow you. Arkansas Flag and Banner is going to give you some money on the website. We are really excited about you doing this. And I can't believe you're from Little Rock, Arkansas, landlocked, and you're a seafarer like you are.
I know, it's crazy.
I know, it's great. Thank you again, Olivia. Good luck again. God bless you, child. I guess you're not a child.
I hope so.
Yeah, you are.
When you're out on the waves, I mean, it's probably gets a little skewed. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, I said my age wrong earlier. I don't know how old I am anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't think you told your age.
I know. Well, before you were in
it's
here.
for me to know and you to maybe find
I'm
out.
41.
Oh, okay.
No way.
But when he asked, I was like, I'm 31. Like, I gave
that's what
myself a decade less.
You have the spirit of a 31-year-old.
My friend was like, Olivia, I can't figure out how old you are because you act so young, but you look. And I was like, don't you say that. He was going to say you look so old. I was like, I'm offended.
You don't even look like you stay in the sun very much.
Yeah.
Really?
You live on a boat,
I imagine
but you
that's
do
like
not
a ritual
look like
too,
it.
like sun protection when you're out on a boat.
Yes. Got to put a lot of sunscreen on.
Yeah.
You don't even look like you are wind weathered from being out there all the time.
Well, I mean, I've been in Arkansas for a month now, so I'm.
Doesn't matter. You still don't look like you live on the
Casper.
ocean. Casper. All right, this interview could go on. All right, thank you, Olivia. God bless you, child.
There you go.
Except for you're not. All right, God bless you, woman.
There you go.
There you go. This show was recorded in the hollow walls of the Taborian Hall in Little Rock, Arkansas, and made possible by the good works of flagandbanner.com, our audio engineer and local celeb, Mr. Tom Wood, summa cum laude videographer, Mr. Jonathan Hankins, production manager, my daughter, Miss Megan Pittman, and my co-host, Mr. Grady McCoy IV, a.k.a. Sun Gray. Thank you for spending time with us. We hope you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next time on Up in Your Business. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more of Kerry's interviews, click on either video on the right of the screen. And as always, thank you for watching.